Hello everyone and welcome to the stream. This is Otaku Showboat and today is of course Friday, March 5th, 2021. And today is the final stream of Autonauts because we have finally arrived at Transcendence. We have finally, to this point, done all of the things. Over the course of my playing the game, I have apparently obtained all but one achievement now. Hello and welcome, Vicky. I have done a few things. I don't think I've done a few things in this particular playthrough. I don't know. Is there anything here that I didn't actually end up doing this playthrough? There's the screen. Hi. There's the screen showing up. We didn't do the berry route this playthrough, so besides that, most everything else had been covered on the achievements, for the exception of First Planet Colonized, which the time has come. First off, to note, the game is running at 14 frames per second. It's 14 frames per second. I will bring up my task manager just so that we can get an idea here about whether or not this is actually the game itself, because this is not the game itself. This is running at... I'm at 75% CPU, for whatever reason that's recording there. That's largely due to the streaming quality on the CPU right here. There is not, for reference, there is not any single thread of my CPU that is maxed right now. My memory is at 22.2 gigabytes of 31.8, not anywhere near the max. And the GPU is running at 30% video. 30% video, we're at 3.8 gigs of the VRAM, whatever. The point being that the frame rate's really low, but it's not because my computer is being taxed to any degree. Like, my computer could run it faster, but the game just doesn't run faster. There is something with Unity going on here. Now, off-screen, I did more fishing, so that I could, in particular, get the achievement of 2,000 fish caught. And I got the achievement for 2,000 fish caught. I also got a ziggurat, placed the ziggurat again to void the excess fishies. You can see I'm insufficient on the voiding of the excess fishies that we're getting here. And yeah, this thing is buggy. This thing is really buggy. I've had it break a few times already, and it has visual bugs as well, where it just doesn't convert the fish into birds. It converts whatever creature you put on it into birds, but you can see there's fish there, and they're stuck there. They're stuck floating as a visual graphical element forever and ever and ever and ever. So yeah, there may be some problems with the ziggurat right now. And considering this game has been out for over a year now, the developers are not actually working directly towards bug fixes. They're working on an expansion. Yeah, I think they've misplaced their time and effort. That they really should have put more effort into actually fixing the bugs of this game before moving on to trying to add additional content in the form of a new campaign completely. And that's what this stream today, very short stream likely, is going to be about. We're going to, of course, finish with Transcendence of all of our colonists and have a discussion about the state of this game, because oh my, I've had a few things to say over the course of this playthrough. There are a few things to say, but of course, the pyramid. We have unlocked the pyramid officially. It comes from getting the Certificate of Colonization 7. And now, to get colonization level 8, we need to transcend all of our colonists. All 12 of our colonists. And this uses a bit of power for each cycle. And I also added an additional 2 colonists. We had 10, we now have 12. We added Mochi, and we added a 3rd Parfait. Why? Because there's an achievement for having spawned a certain number, I think it's 50 total colonists across all of your saves, so I got that. I noticed I was 2 away, so I got it. And by completing this task, we'll be good. It converts the colonist into pure WoW by transcending the colonists. They get pure WoW. Now, what I don't know is some other aspects of this, like, can I just put a level 1 colonist into the pyramid and then immediately transcend it? Like, can I just make a colonist out of the seed dispenser and just throw him into the pyramid? I think so. All this is checking for is a colonist getting added. It's not checking for the level of the colonist getting added, which is a little strange to me. I would expect it to be level 7 colonists. But that's another aspect of this game that's a little bit confusing, because you can just make a colonist and put them into a castle and they are immediately level 7, as long as you feed the needs, right? Like, as long as you feed the needs, they're immediately level 7. The moment you make them and put them in a castle. I don't think that should work that way, to be completely honest. There really should be some form of progressiveness there on the colonists, right? Like, why are they immediately the highest level after just being born? And that gets into just all of the mechanics around the colonists to begin with. It's like, huh. there were some interesting design decisions that I think are a little bit off. Just a little bit off. So we just keep throwing it at the thing. The thing is flashing at me. With one additional colonist, we shall reach the real Autonaut achievement and final transcendence. What is our end game? Music. Glorious stuff. Colonization complete! We've transcended all of our colonists! They are returned to the stars where they no longer need anything. Yeah. We will get new special off-world job stuff every day for more artifacts. Like, I wish I could care about the artifacts. Frankly. I wish I cared. But I don't. We also unlock the Ancient Stone Circle, which will triple the speed of the game. Give you a little thing to turn the speed up ×3. At the end of the game, when the game isn't even capable of running at barely, like, we're at 22 frames per second. Less than 20, looking at specific aspects of the simulation over here. 14, 18... You can barely see it in the top right corner, but there is a frame rate counter there. It's like, so it's like, wait, what? Huh? Dudes. Dudes? So, again, there are a few aspects of this game that are a little bit frustrating. There are a few. Like, these bots are currently active, and they are blocking the placement of a blueprint for whatever reason. A blueprint that they can easily walk over if they were walking. I can't place this blueprint down here because these bots are just sitting, doing nothing, but they're active, and in order to move them, I can't pick them up and move them because I have to stop them before I can pick them up and move them out of the way. And then I have to turn them on again. But most of them have that move command at the beginning, so all I really have to do is just turn them off and on again. Like, why you so tedious? Why you so tedious? Why am I unable to place a blueprint when there's bots there? Like, it's a blueprint. It's not even the final structure. Why can the bots not just move out of the way of the final structure? There, build the thing. Now that the dudes have moved out of the way. Wonderful. Wonderful. We have this thing that gives you... Apparently there's 4 now. There's this, 100 coins to send 40 crude flour, 39 carrot seeds, and 39 bot drive Mark II variant 1s. Which I guess is daily? It said it was a daily? To get 100 coins off of the save? But there's no point. Literally only one artifact has any point to it. There is only one artifact that has any functionality that's useful, and that is the Trojan Rabbit, and it's 30 tokens. Everything else is cosmetic. Everything else is strictly cosmetic. Like, there is no point to anything else in here. No game functionality increase outside of the Trojan Rabbit. Only the Trojan Rabbit has a functional purpose for even at the late phases, especially at the late phases of the game, and that is that it is capable of carrying the most amount of stuff of any vehicle that is a transport vehicle on wheels. And not like the rail car things. It holds a lot of stuff. And that's what you get. That's the whole reason to build your spaceport. And do 3 total missions at the spaceport. Glorious Trojan Rabbit. That's it, that's all. That's all that has any functional value of any of those artifacts. There's no reason. I'm not going to get any additional artifact. Like, yeah, that you can get a couple variants of dog. Woohoo! They sit around and they do nothing. They eat your food and do nothing. I don't even know if they eat the food. I don't care, but they're there. Yay! We can take pictures when the game's running like trash. Like trash, because we have over 1,300 robots right now. We have 1,327 robots currently, and that I don't think that takes into account the bots that are actually in bot storage. There's another 20 in bot storage. There's a number that aren't doing anything that can be reassigned. That's not the total active number of robots. Of course, these are empty now. So once we fill up all of the buffers, everything will stop flowing. Most of the things will stop flowing anyway. Besides the few things that I have set to void excess stuff. So, continuous complaints. That's going to be the rest of this video. It's just continuous complaints about the design of this game. I hope you enjoy the continuous complaints about the design of this game. Now, I will say, hi Ave, welcome. Welcome all. We have transcended. We have transcended the 12 colonists, all of the colonists that I had. You just pick them up, and you put them in the pyramid. And that's it. You're done. That's it, you're done. Congrats. Congrats, game over. You've beat it. You've done the thing. You threw all of the colonists into a pyramid. Like, that's all you do. You just put them all into the pyramid and you're good. You're done. That's it. That's all. Yeah, like, you have to accrue the 1,000 million WUV, the 1,000 units of the 1 million WUV, which, in the meanwhile, you're doing what exactly? That's right, jack all! So, effectively, at the end of the game, you get your colonists to tier 7, to level 7, and you wait for 4 hours plus for the privilege to build a pyramid, to then throw all of the colonists into the pyramid, and that's the end of the game. How satisfying. And what do you get? You get the ability... I don't even have a soil BP bot. Wow. Okay. You get the ability to make the game speed go faster. After having gotten rid of all of your colonists. Right. So what you get is a daily mission for the spaceport that gives you 100 of the artifact coins. Which, if you're trying to do that and you haven't already gotten all of the artifacts, if you care about the artifacts, which I don't care about the artifacts in the slightest, there is no point to being able to move the game at ×3 speed. I shudder to think about what's going to happen to the frame rate if I try running the game at ×3 speed, because we're already at 15 frames per second. And it's not even because my computer can't handle the game. My computer is not maxed in any sense of the word. No single core is maxed of my CPU. Not a single one is maxed. Not my GPU's at 30%. My RAM is nowhere near maxed. So why is the game running at sub 20 frames per second? Like, huh? Something's wrong with the performance. Completely wrong. Oh yes, there's multiple stages. You need even more soil. Well, in the meanwhile, while I'm soiling for this building, let's talk about a lot of the things. So yeah, there's, as I mentioned, there's only one artifact of any actual gameplay importance, and that is the Trojan Rabbit, because it is a functional item. Everything else is cosmetic. Of all of the artifacts, everything else is purely cosmetic and does nothing for you to help out with the completion of the game. And the Trojan Rabbit is 30 whole coins. 3 whole normal missions for the spaceport. Yay! And everything else is useless. So, additional aspects of the game that we can discuss. So I mentioned how you can just make a colonist and immediately make them level 7 by throwing them into a castle. Just from birth, they're immediately level 7, just by throwing them into the castle. Can we just, from birth, throw them into the pyramid? That is the... There it goes. That is my next question. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of testing as well today. I'm going to build this wonder first, though. But there are other things. Oh, there are other things. So why do we make 1,000,000 WUV when we don't have any technology or use for WUV? Huh? Why is it that level 7 gives 1,000,000 WUV at a time, and yet the only thing that uses WUV is art? Which takes 3 WUV per art, yet makes 10 WUV per art. Why, hello, my Dolly. Dolly has appeared magically. The baby. How's my baby? Huh? How's my Dolly? Dolly's a good girl. Is she my good girl? She wants to go to the window. Yes, she wants to go to the window. How's my baby? How's my baby girl? Yes, she wants window. She absolutely wants to go to the window. Now, what was I saying? about the colonists just immediately being tier 7 and wanting to test all of that. So outside of that, there are, I've mentioned this before, but there are how many food sources in this game? There are how many food sources? Potentially? Food routes? You pick one, and you're done. Like, colonists don't have taste. And I don't mean in the literal sense of taste, I mean in the figurative. They don't care what you give them to satisfy their needs. They don't have a preference. Why? Why do colonists not have a preference? Because we've got a ton of different types of food that we can make. We've got a couple of options for toys. We have several options for clothing. Why do colonists not have a preference for specific types of food, clothing, and toys? To make us make additional types of food, clothing, and toys. Right? Why do additional types of food, clothing, and toys Did I drop my bucket, or did I lose it? I may have used it in its entirety. Here, get another bucket, because I don't know. Oh, I dropped it there, didn't I? Oops. So yeah, why do additional types of food, clothes, and toys even exist if you only ever need one type? Huh? I really think that once colonists get to a certain rank... Oh, and you also have 3 different types of culture, 3 different types of art that exist. Why do I only need to make one? Like, seriously, why must I only make one of the 3? There's no point in making any of the others. Same with the food, same with the clothes. There's no point at all at making any of the others. Outside of just for the sake of making any of the others. There's a lot of aspects of this game that seem like it's just for the sake of doing it, which is not good game design. That's not good design at all. And the fact that this game was made by 2 people is completely irrelevant, because these are still issues. An issue with the game is an issue with the game regardless of how many people made the game. Frankly, it doesn't matter. Like, that's a completely irrelevant thing. Ah yes, we have built the thing, so now we get a button. We now have a button that apparently makes the game run ×3 speed. When as our bunny rabbit here. Oddly enough, somehow, this has had absolutely no impact on the frame rate. Well, I mean, I think it had a very, very slight. I see we go down to like 14 on occasion frames, but we're running at 17, 18 frames, and I don't even know if we're getting the full ×3 either. Because it doesn't really tell me. And then my thought is that if we do run at fast speed, that it's likely going to break things more often because it's trying to run faster than it was originally intended for. And yes, of course, the game does have a bunch of bugs that are yet to be resolved a year later from release. Things like buildings and boxes just seemingly randomly breaking, not becoming interactable anymore. It's as if they... So when an object is being added into a normal box, is being added into a structure, it reserves the structure, and it's supposed to only reserve the structure during the processing of that animation of adding or removing the object from a structure. Occasionally, it doesn't unreserve the structure for whatever reason, and it just stays reserved and uninteractable by any robot or the player at all. And that's real bad. That's real bad when that happens. And I have on several occasions, not recently, though, I will say, I haven't noticed it happen, but I did used to have an issue of bots just stopping in the middle of an action, of the middle of a move command. But I think we pegged that down pretty well to upgrade bots, trying to, well, actually succeeding in upgrading a moving robot which stops the moving robot in its tracks, and it doesn't continue its move command after it's been upgraded. It just moves on to the next item on its script, which usually is an add or remove command into a structure. So they just sit there forever, and it just breaks the whole loop, and it can break the entire production chain that they were working on. Which is such good game design, right? You would think that it would be a good idea to have, like, a sign and a bunch of robots that actually upgrade your other robots assigned to a sign that you just move around your base and you upgrade your robots over time with the most up-to-date version of the robots. Right? Like, that's pretty logical. You wanna make sure that the older robots get updated to the most relevant recent version of the robots so that they can do more stuff faster. But by doing that, for whatever reason, the game does not prevent your upgrade bots. Specifically, we came across this happening with the shoes upgrader in particular. For whatever reason, the bot is still capable of finding, moving to, and adding a upgrade to bots that enter its search area that are in motion. It shouldn't find bots that are moving. It really shouldn't find bots that are moving to try to do the upgrades. Because that just breaks the bots if it actually succeeds in catching a moving robot to do the upgrade. It just breaks that bot completely. Which you have to know that that's going to be a thing when doing those upgrades, so that you know that you have to stop bots and start them again. So that's a pretty big problem. And we've talked about how, as well, like, tulips exist. Why do tulips exist? I don't know. I don't know why tulips exist. But tulips exist. There is literally no use for tulips. There's no recipe that uses tulips. The only thing that you could do with a tulip is put them in a flower pot. Which, yeah, you can make flower pots and put a flower seed and a fertilizer in a flower pot. Which, again, there's nothing that needs flower pot flowers. Absolutely jack all that needs those. Is it a faster way of growing flowers? I don't know. I didn't, like, flowers grow super fast. Inherently, like, why would I even need to grow flowers faster? Flowers, they're good to go almost immediately as soon as you plant them. Like, their cycle time is like, what, 30 seconds, if that, to grow? It's nowhere near the same as the trees that take up to 3 minutes, or the carrots that take 3 minutes. So I went the carrot route on this playthrough. I clearly went the carrot route on this playthrough, and while I'm glad that as you go further and further down, or up the levels, up the ladder, on the food, it requires other sources of food. I have no use for berries, or apples, or anything else that could be used for food, or fish that could have been used for food instead, right? So if we look at food, this is the most egregious thing, in my opinion, in this game, because we get all these options for food, and you don't need any of the others. And I'm gonna keep repeating this over and over again. It's like, why do colonists not have a preference for what food they want or what type of clothing they want, or what type of toy they want, or what type of art they want. And why are there then not any other options for education or health? Like, we have options for a lot of things. We don't have an option for health, we don't have an option for education, and we don't have an option for structures either. Surely, the colonists would have a preference at some point, right? Maybe not when you first are at level 1 and you're feeding them level 1 food and they're just happy to exist, right? There comes a point on the hierarchy where your concern isn't your continued survival anymore. So now we can try to dictate what type of food that we want or what type of toy that we want, right? I would think that for the most part, the following level should dictate that the colonists will now have a preference for a previous level item, like food type or cloth type. Like, for example, when you go from the level 1 colonist to the level 2 colonist, maybe instead of, oh, we just have to upgrade our thing to herb mushrooms, for example, maybe the colonists now have a preference for which level 2 food they want. Now, I don't think you have access to all of the food at level 2, potentially, so maybe just ignore one of those at level 2 and maybe make it available at the level that it becomes available, randomly assigned to specific colonists. Heck, make colonists actually want different types of food each cycle of food. Like, hey, I just got a carrot burger. Why would I continuously want carrot burgers, right? If I'm living in my castle, why would I only want one type of burger? Maybe I want a carrot burger one day and I want fish cakes another, for example. Because in the current state of the game, you only need to go one route. You only need one level 7 thing of each category, despite there being a ton of options for level 7 things. Now, as for what would be the easiest path to go down, my thought might actually be the, Why, hello, Dolly. Welcome. My thought would probably be the cereal line, potentially. Now, the cereal line is going to need a bunch of honey. Why is there a split here at level 4? Again, we get into this whole concept of just, why are there so many options? Like, why? There's no need for so many options. If you're going to have this many options, you need to give me a reason to make these things. There's no reason to do any of the other options outside of one that you have arbitrarily chosen. Right? Like, please, give us a reason to do multiple food types, to make multiple toy types, to make multiple clothing types, outside of cosmetics and putting hats and clothes on robots to make them look nice, fit their role. Give us a reason for the Highland cow to exist, for the alpaca to exist. Like, these are purely cosmetics right now. This is still a cow, and this is a sheep. They give you the wool, and they give you the milk. It's like, ugh. It's like, why? Why? Why are there options when there doesn't need to be options, just to make me have to take longer to find the pathways that these things go down? So, watery porridge and milk makes creamy porridge. Creamy porridge and honey makes honey porridge. Where's the level 5 after this? Because there's also this apple berry pie that's a level 6. This pumpkin mushroom pie that's level 6. That's like a mix of stuff. But there's also just pure mushroom stuff. Pie and pudding into burger. There's also just pure berry stuff. Like, huh? And then there's watery porridge, level 2. There's crude bread, level 3. Good bread, level 4. That's crude dough and good dough, which is all cereal stuff, just pure cereal stuff. To the good bread, there's buttered bread that introduces butter for level 5, but... Aha! Well, you see, that's slightly different than the other pathways, because with carrots and with some of the other stuff, the level 6 doesn't use the level 5. Here, the level 6 uses 2 of the level 5. But again, everything up to the level 5, it's like it's just cereal and butter. It's just cereal, 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 and water. Cereal. Cereal. And more cereal. Right? It's just all cereal. All one thing. Cereal. Not like carrots, which are cereal and berries. Or, no, not berries. It's... Carrots need the carrots, pumpkin, seeds, and cereal to go down the carrot route. And there's the point where you actually start needing the eggs, the butter, and the milk, and the honey. You're always going to use eggs, butter, milk, and honey as you go down to the upper levels of all of the food. Universally. It's just that that's the level 6, and then the level 7... Finally, the level 7 adds something else in the cream brioche. It uses berry jam. Okay, we finally have something other than cereal down this route on the level 7, and that's berries and honey to make berry jam out of stewed berries, which is berries, spiced berries, and water, which is berries and weeds. Okay, we now need berries at level 7. So if we go down the wheat route, all we need is wheat, berries, weeds, butter, milk, eggs. It's a lot of scale for that, and there's actually a good breakdown on the wiki of each food line and how many raw resources you need of each resource going to level 7 in terms of ingredient totals. And just in terms of pure ingredient totals, the carrot line is one of the better options for fewest number of ingredient totals. But you do have to deal with this stupid pumpkin seed here, part of it. Which then gets me into the concept of, why the hell are pumpkins not given a building that lets you process the pumpkins into seeds and raw pumpkin? Why do we have to always bash the pumpkins, like, just out here with a flail or a mallet? Like, how? Why is there no building to do that? And that gets into another part of this game, is that there are very noticeably missing buildings and very noticeably missing enhanced recipes on buildings. This is perhaps the most egregious with the power loom, in that the power loom, one would imagine with the power loom that you would get access to the crude loom recipes at twice the efficiency, because that's the way that a lot of these upgrades work. Like, you expect some sort of gain in efficiency to a previous level building's recipes, especially when you start needing power to operate the machine, right? Such as the bench saw gives you an extra output each step. It gives you an extra fixing peg per pole. It gives you an extra pole per plank. It gives you an extra log, or an extra plank per log. So, why does the power loom only allow level 6 and level 7 clothing, and not have anything to do with the crude loom whatsoever, in terms of the available recipes? Like, it makes no sense to me. It's noticeably missing enhanced recipes to make cloth for bulrush, cotton, and wool cloth, right? That's what I would have expected of the power loom, is the ability, the more efficient way of building, of making those different types of cloth. That was my expectation, and it doesn't exist. It simply does not exist for whatever reason. I really don't know why. All you get here is silk cloth as the only type of cloth, as well as the level 6 and the level 7 clothing. The basic level 6 and level 7 clothing. There's not even any cosmetic clothing by default that is the equivalent of a level 6 or level 7 clothing. So it's like, oh, if you've been making clothing for your colonists that are like the aesthetics clothing that count as that tier to that point, well, suddenly you no longer have aesthetic clothing options. Now, there's probably stuff in artifacts. Well, the Panda Kigurumi top is level 3. All of that's level 3. And that's a bunch of hats. The Royal Guard top is a level 3. The last suit is a level 3. There's no level 6 or 7 cosmetic clothing type. So that's pretty inconsistent now, isn't it? I mean, having cosmetic clothing types is one thing, but then and it's another thing to have all of these options of functional foods that it's like you just choose one. Like, this game has 0 replay value. Why would I ever go back to go and do any of the other lines, right? Why would I ever start a new game to do a different one of these lines? There's no point. There is no point. This game does not have replay value. There is none. 0. It would be fine if there was, like, actual alternative ways of doing things, different challenges you could do, but no, it's like, oh, I can play on a small map. How much space have I used of this normal size map? About yay much? How much smaller is the small map? Like, yay big? I don't know how big the small map is, but I did not use the entirety of this map, and most of this map is seawater, right? So we can get an arbitrary constraint on the amount of space that we have to build. Woohoo! Woohoo! So, there's also the thing with the power, that there's a phase of the game before you get access to the steam engine where you have access to power requiring buildings and you need a bunch of power for those buildings, but the only way to get the power effectively is through either giant water wheels or windmills, and it really gets a big strain on your resources to make all these water wheels. And then you get access to the stationary steam engines, and it is a night and day difference. It's like, oh yeah, now I have stationary steam engines? I don't need any of these previous level things. They are completely irrelevant. Because the thing is so good. The stationary steam engine is so good that, yeah, it's just... It comes slightly too late, is my thought there on that stationary steam engine. It's just slightly too late. It really needs to come just a little bit earlier. Just a little bit. Because it is there's a very painful part of the game where you want or even need the extra efficiency of running bench saws and have to run some metal processing, and you need the power for all of the things. You need all the power ever, and all you get is water wheels until you tech into the steam engine. It just feels like it's just a little bit late. But once you get it, like, you can just ignore power the rest of the game. It's like, oh yeah, I need more power, build one more steam engine. Build one more steam engine, build one more steam engine, and we're good. Hey! Like, there's no balance there at all. It's like, oh, do I not have enough power? Build one new steam engine, and then magic, I have power again, all of my power. With one steam engine being fed by yay much coal and water. Woohoo. So much for difficulty there. So much for that. So much for that. And this entire base... Why are trains... Like... We can potentially use trains, but why do they exist? Like... Really? We have robots that we can have in infinite supply that are capable of going back and forth infinitely at Mark III. Which is about the time you get access to rails, is when you have access to Mark III robots. So, why would we ever need trains? And if we do need capacity of storage to move stuff over distance, why are trains better than wheelbarrows? Or carts? Or Trojan rabbits? I can think of 0 scenarios where I would rather use a train over a Trojan rabbit to move large objects. Right? There's 0 scenarios. The only reason to use trains is personal preference, that you just want to use trains. It is not even remotely required for anything at all. It's like, it's there for those who want it. And that's not how you should be designing your game. That's not how the design should be for any of the things. There should always be some purpose beyond just, oh, this is a tool that a player can use. It's not required, but there it is. It's part of your toolbox of things that you want to use. And no. No. There really should be a purpose beyond that. A required purpose beyond that. For progression. There really needs to be something that will demand the use of having a rail system for it to exist, in my mind. But that's just me. I want everything to have a purpose. That's me, that's my personal preference. I have a very distinct desire for literally everything to need a purpose. Also, why the hell can I not control these chooks making eggs? Easily. Yeah, you can control the chooks. You put them on turf and you only give them seed food. You only feed them when you need the eggs. When the thing isn't full. That's how you control the chooks, but why would I feed them seeds, stuff that I've worked hard to make, when they can just eat dirt? Like, clearly the best option is not giving them my seeds, my cereal seeds, or any other seeds. Like, obviously, if they can eat for free, they're gonna eat for free. But then you completely lose the ability to actually control the egg production. Oh, and there's a hen house here because the hen house reduces the number of cycles per egg required, the number of feeding cycles per egg. It actually halves the amount of cycles of eating before they go to the hen house and make eggs versus just laying eggs on the ground. I think it's like 25 feeding cycles before they lay an egg on the ground and like 13 to make an egg in a hen house. It doubles your efficiency. It nearly doubles the efficiency. I think I've said just about everything. I mentioned how tulips don't have a purpose for whatever reason, that there's no point on the tulips. I've mentioned the whole food situation. It's like, oh, you don't, there's no need to have all of these options because you only need to give your colonists one food type at level 7. Like, why do they only need to have one food type at level 7? It's dumb. Same with the toys. There's no point in making the other toy. There's no point in making the other clothings. So why do they even exist? If there's no point in making any of the other things outside of, oh, here's a thing that the player can choose from. Just choose. But choose wisely. No, that's not, nah. There needs to be a purpose. If it exists, there needs to be a purpose for it to exist. There needs to be a legitimate reason why every single option is required to go down in any one given playthrough. Because I am not going to play through this game again just to experience a different food route. To experience a different, like, cotton, to do cotton farming. Like, no. I'm not going to do that. Especially when Bulrush cloth is required for more than just the clothing, and especially when you need wool from sheep anyway. There is literally only one use for cotton. There is only one use for cotton total, and that is to make your first mulberry seed. This is the only required use of cotton in the entire game. Every other, like, cotton, like, shirt thing, not actually required. Not actually required. And you're going to be forced to go down Bulrush anyway, for Bulrush cloth, for other things, besides clothing. And you are forced to go down the wool cloth route for the toys. No matter which toy you make, either option, they both need wool cloth. There's nothing that uses this. Like, huh? Huh? Like, so why do you exist again? And then coconuts. There's only one use for coconuts. For the brains. For the brains of the Mark III robots. As far as I can tell, there's no level 7 thingy or no level 6 thingy uses coconuts in this entire thing here. Like there's no coconut need in here. Wouldn't it be nice if we could use coconuts? So then we get into the ending here with the thoughts, which is, so what are the developers doing right now? Now, when the game first launched, there were a lot more bugs than there are right now. So I will give the developers credit that they have fixed a lot of the bugs in the game. They fixed a lot of them. They have in no way, shape, or form fixed all of the game-breaking bugs in this game, of which I have pointed those out many times. The actual game-breaking bugs that force you to save and reload. Okay? Like bugs that require a reload to fix. Or stop and start scripts manually on robots because they've broken on their scripts. I have pointed those out. There was a lot more of it early in the game. Now, when the game launched, it also didn't have all of the transcendence levels, like all of the levels up to level 8. Didn't have level 8. In fact, I think when the game launched, it only went up to like level 3 or 4, and over time they added 5, and then they added the rest later. Like they legit didn't even release a full game when they released this game. It wasn't done yet. And this game is $20 normally. It is half off right now on Steam anyway. It is $10 for this game. I would argue that this game is okay at 10. It's okay at 10. I'm a little hesitant at 20. That would absolutely be the max for this game, given the current state of it with the bugs that are involved. Like, and then of course the performance. The performance of the game is completely unacceptable at the late phases. We're running less than 20 frames per second without taxing the entirety of the performance of my machine. And yeah, that's just blatantly, straight up unacceptable. It should not perform this poorly without having taxed my computer. I'm running 30% GPU here, barely even any dedicated memory, GPU memory. Like 80% on my CPU right now. A lot of that's from streaming. No single core is maxed. No core of my processor is currently maxed. No single thread anyway. And memory, regular memory is fine. It's 20 out of 31.8. My system has the resources to process faster and maintain frame rate in this game, yet for some reason it's still only running at 14. Now, is that because I have 1,300 robots? Absolutely yes. Should this be a problem at 1,300 robots when my PC is not running at max with 1,300 robots? It should not be a problem. Okay? It should not be a problem. We should not be at sub 20 frames without the computer literally crying. My computer is far from being on its knees crying while running this game, doing the CPU calculations. So how are we not at least 30 frames? At least twice that. Like, that's completely unacceptable. And what are the developers doing right now? You know what they're doing right now? They are making a new game mode. I kid ye not. The developers are working on a survival mode for the game. We're just gonna go to the menu here because we're at the end. This is the end, and I will be ending extremely shortly. So, the developers, if we go to, I don't even know, Community Hub on here, they're working on a survival mode with the ability to make combat bots that you just automate and send off to fight enemies. And by fighting enemies, you will gain access to production facilities to continue your progression. So, why? Who asked for this? Like, seriously. I just have to question just why? Why? Like, that's a complete departure from what this game really is, right? That's completely, it's completely different. Now, from what I can tell, it's going to be a free update to the game. So, great. But why do we have so many problems with the base game? Especially in colonization mode. Now, free mode would be interesting. All technology unlocked from the start. That might be an interesting playthrough for some. I really don't care about creative. Like, I need goals. I need goals. Goals are 100% required for me to function while playing a game. I cannot do creative. I can't. I need goals. I am not going to define my own goals. I refuse. So, yeah. Survival. Before we get access to notably missing things and features, like notably missing building types, there's a number of buildings that have a crude building type that don't have an upgraded building type. There's a number of buildings that are upgraded building types that don't offer you an upgrade to the previous crude building types functionality and like upgrading the efficiency of those recipes. There's no point in doing any more than one line of each category of item, even if they offer more than one option. It's like, why? Why do our colonists not have a preference? Why are we not forced into doing all of the things? I want to do. I would like to be forced to do all of the things, yet we aren't, and it's disappointing. It is disappointing. That is my ultimate thought about Audinauts. It is disappointing. Now, is it interesting? The design of it, to a point, it drags way too long. To be completely honest, in that effectively the game just becomes make a bot, apply a script, edit a script for the current situation, save it, apply it times 5 to 5 other robots to scale. Just place a bot, make a script, apply a script, hit play. Place a bot, apply a script, hit play. Place a bot, apply a script, hit play. Oh, I needed to do something slightly different. Place a bot, apply a script, slightly edit the script to do the thing that you want, and then hit play. And save it for any other ones that you need to do that exact same thing. That's what the game effectively becomes. And it's like, repeat that times 200 or 300 times or more. Like, it becomes super tedious, super fast, and I can't recommend that to anyone. And does it look cute? Sure, but it doesn't really play all that well in the later phases. Early, it's okay. it's entertaining early on, but once you get it, once you get it, it drags. It drags. It's too much after a certain point. And when you don't have these things like that fundamentally force you to do something new, like, say, having a colonist suddenly demand that you give them something that you aren't making, right? When you don't have these types of things that try to force you in a different direction, it can get boring very quickly, and I've had to force myself to continue and to complete the game through the final phase because it gets boring, it gets tedious, and at the very end you have to sit and wait for 1,000 cycles of the level 7 before you can actually officially win. Like, what the heck is up with that? Especially when you don't even have a sync for WoW beyond using 3 to make art, which then makes 10. Like, what do we do with the other 7? Because by that point, you're out of techs completely. Anyway, those are my honest thoughts about this game. I hope you've enjoyed them to some extent. And to anyone who says that I am complaining about nothing or that I'm complaining about very, very small issues, go F yourself, to be completely honest, because these things have affected my overall thoughts and experience with the game, and if you're paying money for an experience, you're damn straight you're going to want to have the best experience possible if you're spending money on it. So, yeah, these are valid criticisms. Very, very valid. And reasonable expectations, in my mind. So with that, folks, I would like to thank you all for watching. This has been Otaku Show, but if you have enjoyed, for whatever reason, this entire Audionaut stream and series, please be sure to do all of the social engagement stuff below the video. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you have not yet subscribed, and hit the notification bell. Consider becoming an Erudite Otaku member of the channel, as well as supporting on Patreon at patreon.com/otakushowboat if you're so inclined and able. I, of course, shall be back to stream on Sunday with more of our Factorio and Stardew Valley series, and I will be back on Monday afternoon with more of the Subnautica playthrough. We will not be streaming in the mornings anymore on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday going forward, now that we have completed this Audionauts series. So I would like to thank you all for coming out to these streams thus far. I will be using this time to do other things and make other types of content going forward. And once we are done with Subnautica, there will be no more streams at all on Monday and Wednesdays either. But, yep. I hope to see you all on our next one.